It's been eventful down at Portman Road for the last week or so. Regular voice on Talksport 2, always value his input. Ben Bloom from the Blue Monday podcast joins us, another Ipswich fan, with his point of view on this. Ben, very good evening, mate. How are you?
All right, Ben. Very well, thanks. Nice to speak to you guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us again, mate. So a former Canary tasked with saving Ipswich this season. Your reaction to the news, of course, we received over the weekend. It's going to be Paul Lambert.
Well, very, very surprised. We all thought that Hurst was going to end up going. It was just a matter of when in the end. And I think the news broke through one of the tabloids, and it was kind of 2 in 1, because we got told Hurst was going and Lambert was coming at the same time, which was probably the right way to do it, because obviously Marcus Evans had this, looks like, sorted before. Hurst
been sounding out managerial options, Ben, I think is the probably the party line.
This is the politically correct. Yes. So yeah, there wasn't any time to kind of speculate who it was going to be. And I think when you are bottom of the league and you haven't been down to the third tier for 60-something years, and the best person you can get used to manage Norwich, I think you just have to say, get him in, let's get behind him, and if he can get us to 21st by game 46, we will very quickly forget about his Norwich connections.
And if he doesn't start well?
Well, we need to be patient now. Obviously, we've had the Hurst disaster, and as you can hear from our wonderful previous manager on your channel earlier this week, it's got out that we quote hounded him out. So I think it's about time for some patience. He's inheriting an absolute mess, and obviously that can't be sorted out. So if it doesn't start well, he needs to be given patience. There's rumours that there's going to be money to spend in January.
That's what I was going to ask, Ben. Yeah, report suggests he's been promised £10 million in January. What's your reaction to that?
Well, as you can hear, I'm chuckling because Marcus Evans, I mean, since he gave Roy Keane a lot of money and Roy Keane royally wasted all his money, nobody has got anywhere near £10 million. And obviously, he's had his fingers burnt by Paul Hurst spending a bit of money, but obviously that was raised by the sales of Waghorn, Webster et al. In the summer. Marcus Evans is a clever bloke, a clever businessman. He's probably calculated how much it's going to cost him in lost revenue from TV and attendances and such. And, sometimes you have to spend a bit of money to stop a big loss coming in the future. So he certainly needs to do something with that squad, that's for sure.
Ben, I know you like a good tune, and I understand. I saw social media that it was a good old-fashioned Ipswich Cockney knees up in the Old Kent Road singing. I'm going to translate what was said, but Paul Lambert is a blue. He hates Norwich City. I don't know if I'm not gone with the rhythm or the tune or indeed some of the potential words that were also in amongst it. But that was a bullish approach from amongst the 2,000 that travelled there. But getting down to the nitty gritty of this,
I can't ever remember hearing Paul Lambert say that directly, though.
It was sung on his response in the pub in the Old Kent Road.
It's paraphrasing. It's absolute extreme paraphrasing.
It's extrapolating a lot. It's like how David Bowie wrote his lyrics. He's taken several phrases and cut them up and assembled the words in a different order.
He's the William Burroughs of football.
Exactly. But Ben, the thing you've got, of course, is Paul Hurst came in and arguably it was a bold experiment, and that bold experiment including bringing up-and-coming footballers from the lower leagues. Paul Lambert's still got to work with those, for all intents and purposes, for another 10 games and then see what happens in January.
Well, absolutely he has. And the thing is, though, Mark, if you looked at the starting lineup at Millwall, a lot of those players were put out of the firing line, and a lot of the players, or the ones that are left that didn't get sold off that finished in 12th position last year, came back in. Obviously, the best players that finished in 12th position are now at Sheffield United, Derby County, Wigan and Bristol City. But, those guys came back in. Look, he's at least until January, he's going to have to work with them. But it just needs to be a clean slate and a new chance. And maybe he'll get something out of those guys. It's just, I couldn't imagine being one of those players who's come up from the lower divisions when the entire narrative is Hurst recruited badly, these players aren't good enough. Their confidence must be completely shot. And we're talking about John Nolan from Shrewsbury, Toto and Ciala from Shrewsbury, the two guys from Accrington, Danasi and Jackson. There must be at least one or two of those that Lambert can get a tune out of, I would hope.
They were very good players in League One last season, though. I mean, that's the issue when you've got a manager who's only managed at that kind of lower level with a very small budget. Shrewsbury had a tiny, tiny budget.
And brought with him who he knows.
Yes. So he's brought with him who he knows from a small budget in a small club with almost, not saying Shrewsbury had no ambition. They had very little ambition last season. It was staying up. I know a Shrewsbury fan said, no, if we stay up, we're happy. And they end up getting in the playoffs, of course. But going to Ipswich is a bigger club with bigger expectations. You've got money to spend. Maybe he's the kind of manager that wasn't quite used to having that.
Oh, definitely.
That money available and didn't know what to do with it.
I think I agree with that, and I think as well. Look, these guys were put into a perfect storm of lots of things all conspiring against them. You had a big personality leaving, a change of style, a new manager, not used to this, a whole load of teammates, and the point Matt Holland made last week was that in his team, it was two came in and then they developed them, and then another two came in, and they did come from lower divisions when Matt Holland was there, and James Scowcroft will tell you that when you see him shortly. But it was two at a time, and they were kind of bedded in gently. Just quickly, I must say the Paul Lambert is a blue, he hates Norwich is a direct response to our friend Jordan Rhodes, who used to play for Ipswich, now plays for Norwich, and the Norwich fans delight in winding us up by singing.
It's a well-tested.
It's King of the Road, Queen of the Road. There we go.
I enjoy this bit like the old barn dance. Can I just ask briefly on that point? Was there anybody or anything about the fact that you brought in a manager who could easily go on and become a very good manager because he's still young and he's inexperienced? Was there any form of light coming through the clouds of despond that were over Portman Road that Ipswich fans were prepared to cling on to?
Yeah, there was when he first came for about the first 6 or 7 games, and there were lots of draws, obviously no wins. We thought, okay, if he persists with this and he keeps going, this could go well. But I think Paul Hurst lost his nerve. It got to the transfer, the loan window. In comes John Walters, in comes Jordan Graham, in comes Matthew Pennington, all straight into the first team. And all of a sudden, this joined up thinking that we thought we'd seen, oh, well, he's just bombed out some players, put 3 in. And honestly, waiting for the teams to come through on Twitter an hour before the games, it was a guy in our WhatsApp group would joke, oh, today's team been selected by Guinevere and its set of balls number 3, because it was 6 changes every week. And into his last game at Leeds, you played an excerpt from the commentary of that. 7 changes. He dropped the player of the year. The only one left was the captain. That and we were joking that it would be like Ruud Gullit dropping Alan Shearer all those years ago if he took Luke Chambers out. That would be the resignation letter. There were some hopes, but I feel sorry for Paul Hurst because literally everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and he was like a gambler trying to chase his losses. He doubled down every time he lost, and it just got out of his control. And hopefully that's not his career tainted. Hopefully he'll be back.
Ben, run out of time. Top value as always, mate. Go check out Blue Monday podcast. Thank you.
Cheers, Ben. Thanks a lot, mate.
Thanks, guys.
See you again soon, mate. All the best.
Bye.
Just